Encouraging baby to get into what we call a good fetal optimal position for birth. So what do we mean by that? From 36 weeks onward, normally with your first pregnancy, your baby's usually sitting right up under your rib cage. From 36 weeks onwards, baby's head starts moving down into the pelvis. So your baby's right up under the rib cage and baby's head starts moving down into the pelvis. So we want to encourage baby to get into what we call a good fetal optimal position for birth. So how do we do that? First of all, if you stand up and if you place your hands on your hips, okay, and then what I would ask you is place one hand on the bony part at the front, what's called the symphysis pubis, and with your other hand, if you walk down your spine in between your coccyx. So with your feet slightly apart at hip wide apart, if you just lean slightly forward, the question I have for you is, do you have more space between your two hands by leaning forward, and I don't want the pregnant women to do this or anyone with a bad back, or lean back? So if you imagine the front part of the pelvis is known as the symphysis pubis, and what we're touching in the coccyx is the last 5 bones of the spine, and they are fused and they are curved. So if we're in what we call an upright position, UFO, upright, forward and open, we're actually creating 28% more space in our pelvis as opposed to lying back. To encourage my baby to get into what we call a good fetal optimal position for birth, there are 1 or 2 things that we can do. First of all, you can visualize baby getting into what we call a good fetal optimal position for birth. The second thing is by sitting on a gym ball. When you purchase the gym ball, you must make sure it's the right size for your height and weight, and you need to buy a non-burstable gym ball. When you before you're sitting on the gym ball, you need to pump it up. And when you sit on the gym ball, you need to sit on it. Your knees should be slightly lower than your hips. So when I sit on the gym ball, you can see that I can't actually lean back or slouch back. I actually have to sit on it kind of nice and straight, where I'm kind of well supported. My knees are apart, so I'm opening up my pelvis. So essentially, what is that doing? That's creating more space in my pelvis. So we're encouraging baby to move down into what we call a good fetal optimal position for birth, and that's the occipito-anterior position for birth. If we spend more time slouching back, so what is the heaviest part of baby? The heaviest part of baby is their head and their spine. So if we're slouching back and we have poor posture, well then the baby's head and spine is going to lie back against my spine. So I want to encourage baby to get into what we call a good fetal optimal position for birth, and that's by sitting on my gym ball. Now initially you might say sitting on the gym ball is rather difficult. It shouldn't cause you any discomfort. If you're uncomfortable, maybe check the size of the ball, or maybe don't spend as long. Just build it up nice and slowly. So in time you'll be sitting watching the TV, sitting on the gym ball without even realizing it.